All right, so today we're going to go through. So earlier I went through the Myth-Heir clan boss team, and there's one difference here with the Myth-Heir clan boss team. So as you see, Heiress is 247. Now I think you can get away with it being 241 for a standard team. The difference is Spirit. So when the boss is on Spirit, the AoE nuke is decreased speed, and so that can throw off, and it is resistible. So some champs can get it, some champs not, and therefore it throws the whole team off. So there is a calculation, and I'll put the link in the comments below of the actual calculation and the math. However, for this team to work is based on Seeker. So Seeker's speed, it ends up working out that for every one speed on Seeker, so if you drop it to 170, then Heiress can actually be 245, I believe it is, instead of 247. So it's like for every one Seeker speed, you need additional 2 to 3 Heiress speed in order to make this work. And in saying that, your DD, damage dealer, needs to be at 156. There's not much give here. It needs to be basically a solid 156 with the true speed, which you need to calculate. So it is tricky because of the math, and one speed can throw the whole team off. So in my example, I have tried with Thylesia because she does drop X, and I figured that would be a good replacement for Weaken on the team. However, I found that Geomancer is a far better damage dealer than anyone else. So what you are trying to do in this case is, because the boss is Spirit, he's going to target the weak affinity. In this case, on this team, it's Heiress. But she needs to be the first one to go to cleanse everybody else. If she doesn't cleanse, then the whole composition is off. She doesn't put her increased speed buff up, and therefore the whole team doesn't work. So you have to put a second force damage dealer in the mix here, just to take the stun. So there's some things to keep in mind. Now, if you look at my Heiress, she's actually running an HP with HP ring, and not damage. And that is so that I can get her HP higher than Geomancer's, or whoever you decide to use. So Geomancer's HP is just under, so 30,000. In this case, everyone's full health at all times. So it's going to target the person with the lowest HP. And in this case, it's going to be Geomancer. So that is why I have an HP ring on her, just to make sure she has enough HP. In saying that, the reason why Geomancer works so well is this passive. So they changed the mastery. So I'll show you Geomancer's masteries. They changed the mastery where everyone was taking Hell Smasher, so that you can get that more damage on the crits reflex, but now you change it to War Master, just because reflecting doesn't have any effect on passives. So that is this passive change, and now this passive is really a Giant Slayer. So whenever this champ is attacked, 30% of the damage is deflected instead. Now, it only caps to 3% of the target's max HP, and with the clan boss has a ton of HP, so you're going to get 75,000 reflect damage maximum per hit. And for an AoE, you have 5 champions on the team. That's 5 potential hits that this is reflecting. On affinity, they hit twice, so that is actually 10 potential hits that this is reflecting 75,000 Unfortunately, it doesn't reflect the 30% damage because you're not taking damage, because you're on a block damage team. And this is why Geomancer is so much better on Unkillable, because he also deals that 30% damage. And then that additional 30% chance of 3% is above and beyond that. So that is Geomancer's passive and why it's so good. Now, if you think about it, it's a Spirit Affinity boss. So you need to put in a Force Affinity, which is a weak damage dealer. So who your damage dealer is regardless. I have people on the team that have built 2 Heiress. One to get to the speed, or actually a little bit lower, so more damage, and the other in a full toxic set, so that they can interchange the 2 of them. I just put my Geomancer in a toxic set. He actually works well in a toxic set for Hydra as well, with the AoE attack and the burn. So I don't mind him in a toxic set, but you know, he doesn't really do damage because he's weak affinity. So you want to try to pump as much damage as you can get out of him. Speed is more important. If you can get 100% crit rate, that's even better. Accuracy does matter because he has to land his burn, and he's weak affinity. So that is a setup for Geomancer. Otherwise, the rest of the team is the same. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to go through an Ultra Nightmare run this time. And what I'm going to do is replace Draco with Geomancer. And as you can see on the team setup, I do have Geomancer higher on the team. So the way the stun, or the stun is taken, it looks for the weakest affinity first, which will be one of these 2, the lowest HP, and then the highest turn order. So I'm kind of telling the boss, make sure you hit Geomancer first by doing all that stuff. I could put Geomancer way here in second, as long as he's higher than Heiress. That's what really matters. And that is how I set it up. Team setup, like I said, it's the exact same. So Deacon is here, Demitha, Seeker. Now Geo I'm going to open with this, and I do have Creeping Petrify booked. The boss doesn't steal it. I mean, at this point, it doesn't really matter on a block debuff team, and it makes more sense on an unkillable team. And if you don't have an increased attacker on your team. And then, of course, Heiress is last. You do have to prioritize this as number 1, because if there's no buffs on the team, she won't use it. Or sorry, no debuffs on the team, she won't use this skill. And you do need it because you do need the increased speed. So there you have it. There's all the stats of all my champs. I'm going to go ahead. Again, we start on full auto and let this team run. We'll see you on the end. I'll start off the beginning a little slow, so you can see what's actually happening on the setup. Don't really worry about too much of the setup because it works. So he's going to drop the burn, and then there's the damage, 75k times a lot, plus 1,000 because we took damage without the block up. That's only on round 1. Here we go on round 2, and I'll just show you. So he's going to steal that, or at least try to. And Smith is going to block now, so watch it. So 0, 0, 0, and then there's the 75k. So we just hit 1, 2, 3, 4, what is that? 5 or 6 times 75,000 damage worth back onto the boss. So now the reason to have, I removed Draco of this team, so I have no poison damage. So I again have him in, I failed my burn, so not going to get the reflect out. And there, he took the stun, which is good. So there we have it. If Geomancer fails the burn, obviously he's not going to be reflecting as much. He does go 2 to 1, which does allow that burn to cycle quicker. So if you miss one, it's not the end of the world. It'll come back up. And otherwise, this is why I think Geomancer is far superior than any other damage dealer. Any other damage dealer will hit, hit, what are you going to get? Maybe 60, 70k out of them, 80k. Geomancer just hit for 21k, so there's a 40,000 damage difference. Sure, that's great. If they both weak hit, then it really doesn't matter. However, that damage dealer, okay, so he just hit for 70k, call it someone else would hit for 100 plus. There's about 150 damage difference. Geo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 again. So Geomancer actually did about 150 to 200,000 damage more than another damage dealer would have done, because he's reflecting back. So he's got two ways to damage, one on the hit and then one on the reflect. And that's why Geomancer is a great viable option for this team. And there you have it. So I will let this run to the end, and then we'll check out the damage as we finish. There you have it. So Geomancer still put a respectable 20, almost 25 mil in. If you notice, most of that fight, Deacon didn't have decreased defense up, which didn't help the rest of the team's damage. But, you know, that's a pretty easy 2-key with this kind of team with Geomancer if you hit weak of Spirit Affinity. Now, if you're on Force Affinity, your magic damage dealer wouldn't be doing as much damage. Magic, if for a magic damage dealer, is ideal in a case like that. Deacon doesn't do that much damage. I think he drops about 5 or 4 mil on weak affinity. It's not that much of a hit. Everyone else on magic does great. So there you have it. It still works. And that, I mean, most of Geomancer's damage came from the reflecting. Without him reflecting, anywhere from 3 to 400,000 per hit, sometimes more. I don't think he would have been putting out that much kind of damage. Probably be closer to 5 to 10 mil. So that's why I think Geomancer's still superior in a team like this. Again, a very respectable 55 mil, very easy 2-key on Affinity with Geomancer. There you have it. Catch you in the next video.